It's dangerous, I feel like, in every aspect now. Everything. You can't say anything. I feel like this world is so sensitive to everything. You know, I mean, example A. Did anybody watch the Olympics? Did they see like all the crap that was out there? And it is crap. I don't care if you support that, you're an idiot. Like, it's just crap. Straight up. See that grin on his face? Facts. He knows. It's just How you guys doing? I'm Bronson Becerra.
And I'm Christian White.
Welcome to Bronson and Christian Talk. How's the week been going, man? Per usual, I'd love to ask how you been. What's going on with you? Anything new for the week?
You know, as far as a week has been, it's been it's been pretty good. It's there. You know, I feel like I'm kind of getting over the learning curve associated with doing a podcast,
right.
Editing, so on and so forth. And I've released a total of 13 episodes.
Awesome, man.
In 2 weeks. So my goal is 100. I've been very fortunate to have a lot of great people on,
right.
And so I'm going to get you on at some point. And
right.
Just been learning something new each day, and especially trying to work on myself, not to get all corny,
right?
But just really trying to hone in on that. Yeah.
So just podcasting it, just going hard in the paint.
Yeah, I've been going pretty hard on it. I mean, there's so much work at first,
right?
But of course, once you start to get the hang of it, then things become more expeditious. You start cranking them out more.
Right. Yeah, it just gets a little easier. It's like anything else. Once you're consistent with something, then it's just repetition, muscle memory. It starts getting easier. Like I said, with anything you do. And yeah, I just been grinding, same old thing, dad stuff. Just enjoying life the best I can. You have ups, downs all around with business, especially if you have multiple businesses and you have children. They keep you busy. My son has basketball. My other son, he's at the age, and they start school in like a week and a half. So not next week, but the week after. And then my son's birthdays are coming up next week. One will be 8, the other one will be 14. So it's crazy, man. Time's going by so fast. Not to sound all cliche, like it really does. I can't believe I have a son who's 14. Like, I'm only 21. It's crazy. So, at the end of the day, it's their blessings though, and it's fun. One's spending the night right now at his friend's house, another one's with my parents having fun with his little cousin. So it's a great feeling. It's cool. So I just been busy with that, man. I'm just blessed. You know what I mean? And then trying to find my way into maybe another business, and I'm excited. And the podcast thing is it's a new thing, but I love the direction that we're both going. I know he has his podcast he's doing, and it seems like he's doing great. We have ours. It's we talked off camera. Like it's getting easier every time we come and do it, and it just feels better each time we do it. And you always want to do something that makes you happy, right? And it doesn't even have to be about the money. And I get that part now. Like, it's just fun, and then if something comes out of it, great, and so, but yeah, just been grinding, man, staying busy. So one of the topics we wanted to go over today was how things are nowadays in society with just everything in our culture. Whether, it's like the past 5 to 20 years, like all the things that's been like, how is it so different from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? And I feel like a lot's changed in the past few years, in society, and literally seems like everything from social media. I mean, think about it. 5 to 8 years ago, social media wasn't like booming the way it is now. I mean, so this can be a long drawn out topic, but there's a lot to discuss with this. So, to kind of start small, like, what's the past, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how far you want to take it back, but let's just do, just growing up, like let's just start with growing up. Like when you started, growing up in high school and like, college and stuff, how much has just changed since then? You know what I mean? Like, in your opinion, like, is it dramatic? Is it just a little bit, or in just certain areas it's changed a lot? What's your view on it?
I feel like there's been, I think I would say as a whole, despite, living in different times, so to speak, human nature will always remain, the same in that.
Right.
It doesn't matter what technology, enters society. people are still people, and they still have the same ways they, go about interacting with one another. And so, I would say there has for sure been a change. And the biggest thing being, of course, I'm obviously not in high school anymore, and I'd be intrigued to see what high school is like today.
Right.
But I imagine social media has really, fundamentally altered, people as they matriculate, as they develop. And so I imagine that there's got to be a lot of challenges posed today by parents, whether it's a kid on Snapchat and he's getting drugs, or something else going on, that a parent doesn't want. And so, yeah, I think perhaps maybe more materialism we're seeing. And hey, look, I'm saying that as someone who enjoys the finer things in life, and I'm not knocking, enjoying those things, but
Right.
yeah, I think societally speaking, we glass half full mindset, we have some work to do. There's always work to do, of course, and I don't think like we're in some end of time thing, but I'm saying that I think we have deviated further and further from, let's say, nuclear family, more whether it's faith based or spiritual based or what have you. I just think we're in for a reset.
Right.
And and that'll most likely be from an economic form of a reset that will then impact society and how people function and interact with one another.
Right. Yeah, I can actually piggyback off what Christian was saying when it comes to Snapchat with social media. I'll be 37 in January, and so MySpace was cool like in high school. I was like, what, 03, 04, or 05 or something like that. I can't remember. I graduated 06. So my point of this is my son has a Snapchat. He's had one for a few years. Just the other day, I allowed him to get Instagram. And all his friends even add me on Instagram. I don't follow them back, but, because they play basketball with him, the ones who play basketball with my son. So definitely there's a lot more. That's the reason why I've been holding my son back on the Instagram part. Because man, there's like almost like porn type stuff on there, like girls are pretty much naked, and it's like, I'm not trying to hide and protect my son from the world. It's just like, that's not a necessary tool, at the time. But I'm like, you know what? He's going into high school. He's pretty responsible, gets straight A's, has a good heart, looks after his brother. I mean, if I'm going to trust him, I need to trust him a little bit more now, and it's like, okay, we'll test it out, test the waters. But it's definitely scary. Because I know people who sell drugs on Snapchat. I know people who done worse than that. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like Instagram. It's like a dating site, right? So obviously, if it's going to be a dating site, it can be used for other stuff. And so that's the crazy part, is how much access the kids have. And there's a lot of nasty stuff out there, and there's a lot of weirdos out there. So, I know a few people who will never put pictures of their kids on social media because there's creeps. I get that, but those are my kids. That's what I love and I cherish, and I want to, if I got a Lamborghini, I'm going to show it. I got two sons that are better than that, so why wouldn't I show them? That's something I'm proud of, but the way society's going, it is scary. A lot of kids, and we had this talk last podcast, I believe it's good to keep your kids in public school. They need to see and interact with kids of their age or a little younger, a little older, and just see how the world works. You can't seclude them and put them in a bubble and lock them away. And then, all right, when the time's right, let them go. Like it makes zero sense. If we're back in like the 1800s or something, it's a little different, but like there's millions and millions of people in this world, and you need to interact with people to learn and navigate through society, through business. It's important. Like if you don't have communication skills because you're so secluded in this bubble, good luck on surviving, and you become like an outcast, I mean, unless you're a mountain man, you live in the mountains, and then it don't matter. But like in reality, like, it's good to have social skills, and but yeah, just like so much has changed. Like I even tell them, of course, I mean, it's kind of a silly question. So if you think things changed since high school, obviously it has, right? But so dramatically it has. And I have a son who's going into high school in a week, and I was just there. Like, it's just crazy how much of a change it's been, you know. But boys will still be boys and do boy things. Girls will be girls and still do girl things. And that's kind of like segue. Like my son, you know, I told him, you got to be careful out there, son. You know, I found out I was having a kid when I was 21, you know, and now with all the access to stuff they have, and man, it's so scary, man. So I'm like, please just be smart on the way you move. And I hope you guys don't get mad at me, but the girls can be the root of all evil. They're the best, worst thing ever. Women are beautiful, but at the same time, we're not always thinking with the right head. You know what I mean? And man, girls can make you do some wild stuff. Let's just be honest. Like if you're a man, and you can, I'm pretty sure you'd vouch for that too. Like, you know, you can do some stuff you didn't think you would do. Like, gosh, why'd I do that? You know, like I should have been smarter. So, you know, it's pretty scary to know like how much has changed, you know, my kids, but I feel like even their work has definitely got like 10 times harder. I mean, I know you haven't been around it, but man, even my little one has work. I'm like, holy crap, they learn that now? Like, I feel like I learned that in high school. Like, it's just pretty crazy how advanced things have become, you know, but also there's more access to information. So therefore you can get, you know, the ability to learn more things, get smarter. And it's just like anything else, you know, just evolution. You start understanding things more, start getting more information about things. And, you know, I was a personal trainer for 8 to 10 years, and it's kind of like, there, you know, and I got my certification, I think in 2012 or something like that. A lot's changed in like 12, 13 years on nutrition and health by far. So, you know what I mean? Just a lot changes, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I had to piggyback when you said the Snapchat part, because I'm like, my son's had one, and for a few years, and like, I remember when I had I still have Snapchat, but I rarely use it. You know, it's rare. It's like I don't really need it. It's almost like pointless. You know, I just liked it because all the cool apps, like the cool little face things you can do on there. Do you have one?
I guess I do have one. I haven't been on it in like 8-9 years, really.
Yeah, he uses it every day. He's lying. I see him post all this crazy stuff on there, but that's between us. But anyways, yeah, man, like the lots has changed over the lots has changed over the years for sure. Now, do you feel like it's gotten more hard, like with the way society's changing? You feel like, because I already know the answer for myself, but you feel like it's from, let's just use high school as the marker. Since high school or college days, right? You feel like it's a little harder to communicate with people?
In what sense? Do I think like just for the average person, or do I think for myself?
For just the average person, I think it's harder, like, you know, to kind of have some type of communication.
Oh, for sure. I kind of talk a little bit about that in my book, whereby people have become more distant, even though we're more connected than we've ever been. There's less substance, and so I imagine that people who are coming out of high school today, potentially, and even the ones that are currently in it and such, aren't on necessarily the same wavelength as those a decade earlier,
right,
or previously.
Right. Yeah, I feel like the communication skills are definitely gone down, and I feel like there's definitely an entitlement too. You know, I have a property maintenance and landscaping business. It's definitely not easy to find people who want to work. They're like, well, when am I getting paid? Well, how much? Valid questions. But if you have really no work experience and I give you a price and you complain about it, you're definitely not someone I want. Like, I don't know where they get this. Like, what work have you put in to earn anything? The best thing to do is shut up and be like, you know what? I'm ready. I'm not doing anything. I need to learn. I need to start somewhere. Whatever you have for me, sir, I'll do it. That's who you want on your team. But I feel like these kids now, and I say kids, like even early 20s, you know what I mean? Like these kids have these expectations of like, but because see, social media has put this platform out here, like they are like, I don't know, man. I just feel like the society, I don't feel it. I know it's weaker. You know what I mean? I feel like no one wants to work hard. I feel like no one wants to put in the work, and they want instant gratification. And I feel like even people our age want that, and even older. There's no such thing, in my opinion. Quick money isn't always good money. You know what I mean? And I feel like people are scared to put in work because it takes too long. Example A, people who were born in the 80s and 90s, there's little thing called commercials. My kids go to something on YouTube and they'll go ahead and like, I don't even know how to do it. And they'll get to this point where it can exit out of the commercial. I know if I press skip sometimes, it'll exit out of it on YouTube, right? But when it comes to like, they have no patience to wait 15 seconds, right? Remember when commercials were like 2 minutes long? We're like, okay, it's not a big deal. It's like everything has changed. Like, want it now. I need it. And you don't. Everything's a rush. You know what I mean? How do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like this generation coming up, like they're like, feel like they're owed something? Like, you think things changed in that sense and like work ethic?
You know, I'm not really around very many kids per se, but
Right.
from what I've gathered, attention spans have been, and we know from studies they've done, attention spans have been in decline, or over the years.
ADHD.
That and just we live in a 3-second world.
Got to go to the next thing. Hurry up.
Goldfish attention span.
Yeah. It's sad. I hate to rush, but I feel like that's all I do. I mean, I'm busy, obviously, but it's like I said, the instant gratification bugs me. I think everybody would love that, right? But there's a feeling of like, yeah, I feel great after like a long, hard day of work, or after putting work for a few months, and like, I got it. Sometimes it takes years, and like to tell people it might take a day, the younger generation, they're gonna have like a heart attack. So God forbid you tell them it's gonna take a month or some years. Like they're just they just give up. It's just like it's really hard. There's very few people I feel that are younger, and not just like kids. I'm just even in the 20s, man, and that they just want the instant gratification. They can't see themselves like, well, I saw on social media that so and so has this and they have that. They have this Lamborghini and they made $1 million doing this, and all they had to do was tag a person, and you know what I mean? Like, no one, come on, like sometimes you got to get a hammer in your hand. Sometimes you need to go to the library and read a book. Either or, whether it's a physical labor or blue collar or white collar. Pick a side and go. And just go for it, and just pick up a trait. Like, I feel like no one wants to do that. They just want this instant gratification. It's not realistic. Like, it can happen. Anything's possible. I can be 6'5", but it's probably not gonna happen. So you gotta be realistic with some of these things. It's okay to set little goals here and there, but you gotta make little micro goals. Like, you know what? I'm gonna lose 10 pounds in a month and a half. Cool. If you're gonna say I'm losing 100 pounds, you're most likely, and what happens is you end up not losing that, and you instantly don't ever do it again. That's why a lot of people, it's not good to go cold turkey, because a lot of people can't do it, right? So I don't mean to like veer off, but I mean, that's what's wrong with society, is like people want this instant gratification. Well, just make baby steps and you'll get there, or just be consistent. And consistency is key with anything. I swear. I mean, if you don't get that, then you're just not that bright. And you know that. Being consistent with something will get you where you need to get to. I said it on a post on my story today on social media. Grind, work hard, keep pushing yourself, exhaust every measure in the direction you want to go. But sometimes you have to call it and be like, okay, I gotta pivot and go elsewhere in the situation at hand, because it's just, sometimes it doesn't work. But that doesn't mean you just, you're giving up. It just means like, okay, I've hit every corner I could. Now it's time to go. You know what I mean? You can be doing you can be consistent as fuck with doing the wrong thing for a long time. So it's good that you realize, oh wait, you know what? I grinded, I did everything, I exhausted every measure. It's not working. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the next. I've done that with business. I'm kind of in the, we've had a, I'm not gonna say too much, but me and Christian had a talk off camera, and like sometimes, things happen. You might have to segue somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, you got to exhaust every measure though. And so, kind of go back on, on the topic, but just people want the instant gratification. I feel like people are just scared to work hard, and it's not about waiting. It's about just working hard. You're not going to get abs in a day. Not going to get abs in a month. It takes time. So that's my little tangent right there. So I don't know how you feel, but.
Well, I thought you made a great point as it relates to basically what I interpreted it as is knowing when to walk away. Mm-hmm. Knowing when to leave a situation. And right. I would argue at times that it is advantageous. It is smart to do. I've had a few careers, for anyone who knows me, I've had a few careers not work out.
Right.
I tried to be a Navy SEAL, got my ass handed to me. Okay. Had I not, had I not, or excuse me, had I, yeah, can't even think straight here. Had I made it, totally different world.
Right.
Right. I probably wouldn't be here today.
Right.
I certainly wouldn't have met the people I've met, in Orange County and so on and so forth. I mean, a lot would be very different. That did not work out. Okay. The next thing, commercial real estate. That one I left on my own, on my own volition, on my own accord. And, that led me to another opportunity. And then that one didn't work out outside of my control. So,
Right.
and so I, what I'm getting at is, I feel like society always says, well, don't quit. But to your point, sometimes you're rowing in the wrong boat.
Got to know when to
And
part ways.
There's still utility in when you go to another vertical, you go to another role or position, because you're bringing those talents, those skill sets. The stuff I learned in the Navy, I was on a podcast. I did shot one earlier today. I was saying that, I mean, for me, because I didn't do high school the traditional route, and so there's a lot of little things, and this comes full circle to the importance of being around people of different backgrounds, different experiences, being in sports and stuff. So because all these things, of course, add up and compound, and you'll draw upon those experiences later in life. Now, I robbed myself of that in some respects because I did homeschool in high school. And so it was a steep learning curve socially. Well, I don't want to say steep learning curve. It was a learning curve socially, going into college and stuff. And then the military, very rude awakening. Very rude awakening. And Buds is very cutthroat.
Right.
Absolutely cutthroat. People get their shit pushed in. And so that, just the experiences from that, that really scarred me. Really scarred me. Had I not learned those, I definitely would not be who I am today.
Right. Yeah. Your trials and tribulations, things you go through in your life definitely veer you into the direction you end up going. You know what I mean? And, but now how do you feel about the military? Do you since I've never been in the military, but kind of picking back off, how do you feel about it now in the direction? Do you talk to a lot of people who are still in the military, or do you keep up with anything with military wise? Just curious.
It's funny. I, up until recently, for years, I never really engaged or interacted with anybody. Part of it was, the whole Navy SEAL thing that I had pursued and such. I was so embarrassed by my conduct and my ability to keep up. I was genuinely embarrassed.
So you're disappointed in yourself on.
Yes, absolutely. And because of that, I did not want to make an effort also in keeping in touch with people.
Wow.
But also, everyone kind of goes their separate ways.
Right.
It's Lord, as I've heard one person say, Lord of the Flies kind of thing, like dog eat dog, like full on dog eat dog. And
if you guys don't know that, I guess you didn't go to high school.
And so and then what else was I going to mention? And then I was a corpsman after the Navy. I don't keep really in touch with anybody of that nature. I might wish someone a happy birthday. I check the notifications each morning. Side tip: if you a great thing to do is for the audience, of course, is when someone's birthday, reach out, save it. It's a great touch point. And for those who are looking to build relationships, the best time to network is long before you needed a network.
Right.
Right. It's like digging your well before you're thirsty. So I don't do it solely for that, but I just make it. I make it an exercise that I do. Well, it's something that I do every day, which is to, hey, happy birthday, hey, this, just keep in touch, because relationships need maintenance. But back to the Navy. I'm starting to engage and interact with more people. I just had my buddy Bart. He's a former Top Gun fighter pilot. I had him on the podcast. I think the military, I support the men and women. I don't agree with, on the high level, the wars that we help to get started in, and because I see it, I see it as nefarious. This is from what I've gathered and I'm about as military as it gets. I'm straight on like fourth. We're on a streak. Like there's been a streak in the family, fourth generation military. And so, and I have, this is not me tooting my own horn, but I've been able to draw lineage from various conflicts going back a couple hundred years here in the country. So, I think you absolutely have to have a military. I believe in peace through strength, and such. But I don't like a lot of the stuff, like Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. A lot of the stuff where it's resulted in a lot of unnecessary deaths, not only for our personnel, but for civilians. And so, what I think of the military, you learn a lot from it. It just depends on the individual. But I do think there is value in going in when you're young, because you'll learn a lot very quickly, because, depends on the unit and the branches, but they don't put up with shit. And they're very strict.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it too much about military stuff, but you probably got a huge culture shock when you went.
Oh yeah, I remember the first day when I was in boot camp. Now, granted, this isn't like Marine Corps boot camp, and this is Navy boot camp. But granted, I was in a boot camp that was catered to people going the special warfare route. There's different types of hard, right? Mm-hmm. For me, what was hard, even though the boot camp wasn't tough, it was just you're basically in like a prison. Like you can't just like say, okay, I don't want to do this shit. Like I'm gonna go bounce. I'm gonna go put in my 2 weeks or
right.
Like there's a processing period. It takes.
Yeah, you're stuck, man.
Yeah, and I just remember staring out the window. This was in Illinois, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe it. No, I just got literally like depressed for like a moment. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I have to do this for like this shit for like a couple months. Like this is like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I say it's a culture shock for you, because you didn't go to high school, you're homeschooled, and then you're like thrown into reality, man. Like people yelling, screaming, saying whatever they want to say to you. You got to do what they say, and shit when they say the shit type stuff, And I couldn't. I mean, I'm not saying it's funny, but to see you try to have to listen to that right now, that's because I know you now. It's like, man, that'd definitely be hard, It'd be hard for me. Like I'd have a hard time. Like, man, shut up. But that's why I didn't go in the military. I'm nah, and even though I wanted to for years, my dad always wanted me to be a cop or be like in the military. His best friend was a lieutenant gunner sergeant, and like he did a lot of the hiring for like almost 30 years. And he was a really good guy. He's my dad's best friend, and he was. I asked him about everything. He said the best branch to go is Marines. So you don't want to do Navy. So I don't want to do Air Force. He's like, you don't want to be special forces. They have all this sleep deprivation. They have hella issues. Like he's breaking down a lot of stuff. So the best routes, Marines. And of course, if any of you guys are Army, Navy, and anything else, my bad. I'm just, what's going off what my dad's friend said. But it never transpired. I remember about 5 or 6 years ago, I almost said, I'm going. I remember writing it down in my notes in my phone. I'm like, I just need to get out of here. But my sons are what kept me here, because I'm like, if I leave, boom, they're going straight to their mom where she lives in the city, and then I don't get my kids. I was like, dang, like, nah, you can't do that, And, no offense to cops, we need cops. I wanted to do that, but I was like, nah, just the way society is now, it's dangerous out there, especially to be a cop. I mean, again, I don't want to go too much on a tangent because, the topic is how society's changed, but at the same time, that kind of, I guess, can go into it. Like, even for cops, man, like, it's everything's recorded now. Even if you can't even tell someone has glasses on, they're recording you. You know what I mean? Some Ray-Bans, like, it's just wild how much has changed, and so it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I feel like in every aspect now, everything. Got to be careful to what you say. You can't say, "Oh, you look stupid. I'm hurt. I'm hurt right now, Christian. I'm gonna sue you now. I'm upset. I'm gonna." It's like you can't say anything. I feel like this world is so sensitive to everything. I mean. Example A, did anybody watch the Olympics? Did they see like all the crap that was out there? And it is crap. I don't care if you support that, you're an idiot. Like it's just crap, straight up. See that grin on his face? Facts. He knows. It's just a fact. It's just crap, man. Like it's just weird. It's disgusting. Where's the clap?
Total failure. What is going on right now? Oh my gosh. Total hit the right button here. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm so embarrassed right now. Hit the wrong button.
We're keeping this in. That was
God,
hilarious.
I'm gonna edit this out.
No, man, you gotta keep this in. That was perfect. Don't. It's all good, bro. Don't worry about it. You gotta keep it in. But yeah, it's a bunch of fuckery. That was on there. It's just crap. No one wants to watch that stuff. And I support what anybody wants to do on their own time on their own time. Just don't press it on me, man. We should. I think I have the next topic for the next the next episode. But yeah, But anyways, yeah, the society has gotten a lot weaker mentally for sure. Like I said, that goes into no one wants to work hard. Everybody wants a high value of what they're owed when they haven't done nothing. You haven't put anything into anything. Like it's just, and because I've done plenty of hiring. I'm just like, even people I know like that have tried to work for me, and well, how much? I'm like, this much, and it's just like, well, and they start complaining. I'm like, well, what other prior experience have you had? Nothing. Oh, okay. So you just want, okay. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, come on, man. It's good to be confident in yourself, but at the same time, it's like, come on, cut the crap. Like, so, but as a whole, we've definitely gotten weaker. And that's why, as corny as it might sound, it starts at home. I might have said this on a podcast or two. It does, though. What happens to kids? What do? They grow up to become who? Adults, part of society. Well, in order to make sure they don't grow up into ding-dongs or people that are going to destroy society or hurt people mentally, physically, or any type of capacity to destroy things, they... You got excited when I said ding-dong.
Disregard. Keep going.
Oh, man. We're keeping this in, too. This is funny stuff. But I was trying to use a better word because I was going to cuss. That's the only thing that came to mind. That came to mind was ding dong. I don't know. But anyways, there's a bunch of, I can't even use the other word. There's a bunch of people that aren't that bright. So it starts at home. Gotta get together. Oh man, my eyes are wet. That doesn't sound right. But anyways, all right, back on topic. It starts at home. All joking aside, it does start at home, and I feel like I don't know if it was the last podcast or the podcast before, we did talk about how like people that went to jail.
Okay, keep going.
Man, oh man. I purposely haven't tried to look at him because I can just, it's like when your mom's mad at you and she burns a hole in your head and you don't even look because she's staring at you. I can feel this dude gonna be laughing if I make contact, and I knew that's exactly what was gonna happen.
All right, let's just continue. I'm already embarrassed.
It's all good, man. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Go time. All right. This guy. Anyways. I lost my train. Oh, so like I said, I think I said in the last podcast, like it starts at home because I think we've all seen like the Scared Straight, like on YouTube or I forgot what channels, where the people that are inmates and stuff, and they always talk about, well, if I had a dad or if my mom was around or if I, people that really cared about me and at least spent some time with me or played with me at home and, played sports and stuff. And I feel like it starts at home. Like I give you an example. My son yesterday, he's like, Dad, I just want someone to play with me. Like I want to just, I don't know, I'm bored. He's like, I just want someone to, have fun with. And like what was annoying is like, I said, hey, come in my room and watch a movie and hang out. He only stayed in my room for like 5 minutes. I don't want to be here no more. I'm like, dude, why are you getting mad? Because he almost started crying because he's like, Dad, no one wants to do anything with me. I'm like, your brother just like, you guys were just fighting, played football and hung out. And then I asked you to come in my room and you just hung out for 5 minutes and bounced. And now you're mad saying, no one wants to hang out with me. And I'm just like, that's not true. I was like, you're just being a big old baby, But at the end of the day, I was trying to be a little bit more sincere. I was like, man, he just wanted someone to, hang out and play with him and just like, whether it's his toys or, or draw with him and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like, It does start at home. They just need you need just to be a good person, have a good foundation. Like, and you can be a single dad, you can be a single mom, still raise good kids. Now it's best to have, if you're at least co-parent. Like me and my son's mom aren't like the best, like when it comes to communicating. I'll be transparent about that. I doubt she watches this, so I don't really care. So but she loves my sons, and I love my sons, but we do communicate to a certain extent. And she's an amazing mom at her time, and I'm an amazing dad on my time, and that's what matters, But there's kids that their mom and dads are always out drinking, don't even care about them, and just go over there for the week, and like, that can really mess up someone's psyche. And I guarantee you that kind of mess with you a little bit by being homeschooled, and you get a freaking reality check when you go into the military. Well, dude, why are they being so hard? Like, or why are they saying this stuff? Like, and you kind of knew that could happen, but it was a reality check for you, bro. And I'm not saying like your parents say something bad, but I'm saying is it starts at home with good foundation, because you have really good parents, obviously. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's kind of like just little things like that, whether you're homeschooled or whether, like my son, just wanted his dad to hang out with him. That goes a long way, to go back to what we originally talked about. Is it starts at home type stuff is, man, there is a lot of messed up crap going on right now and there's a lot of sensitive people, a lot of weak people mentally, not physically, but just mentally, and that feel that they're owed something. Wham, wham, wham. I want this. I want that. Why can't I do this? Why can't, like, I need this. I'm so-and-so. It's like, you're nobody, dude. Like, you haven't put any time and effort into anything. You're not owing anything unless you put the work into something. That instant gratification crap, just, even to, man, it's kind of be a sensitive topic. I almost don't want to say it. But even like the whole, like the gay community, man, like I'm not against people and what they do on their own time, whatever. But man, like I said, I think I might have bit off more than I could chew, because there's a lot that can go on that topic. But it's like what happened in the Olympics. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff is just like, it's not like I put my straightness onto everybody. Like I don't want anybody to put all that type of stuff on me. You know what I mean? Or not even on me, my kids. My kids see this stuff. All my kids do is watch sports and basketball. They saw some of the Olympics, and they're gonna ask questions like, "What the heck?" You know what I mean? Like I don't understand. It's just confusing people, meaning our kids. But it starts back at home. I feel like if there's a good foundation, kids are raised correctly. There's a good percentage that they're gonna turn out okay. They're gonna be all right. Or even if they veer off, I veered off. I did drugs. I hung around people who were in gangs. I did a lot of stuff I shouldn't have did. But I went back to my base. I came back, because I knew right from wrong. Even though I did wrong, I knew right from wrong. I was like, one day I was like, man, and I had a great older brother that helped me get out of the mess. And so at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I had good foundation. It's the way I was taught. My dad disciplined the crap out of me, but my mom loved on me a lot. My mom was always like, my mom's my best friend, man. Like I love the shit out of my mom. Everybody's like, are you mama's boy? Absolutely. And there's like a weird stigma with mama's boy. No, I make my own money. I work hard. I'm a great dad. I don't need my mom to do X, Y, and Z for me. I just love my mom. I'm just really close to my mom. You know what I mean? So, I got blessed with two amazing parents. That my mom was in, her dad died when she was 7. My mom was put in foster care, and she had like 8 brothers and sisters. And you're telling me my mom came from that and now lives in an amazing, my dad, she met my dad, and I'm not going to say too much of his stuff, but he had a great stability, but it's just the parental wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like as in what needed to be. I feel like you can have all the riches and everything, but if someone doesn't tell they love you, or you're not nurtured in that way, that doesn't matter. Like I'd rather live in a dirt hole with my parents and they tell me they love me every day, and live in a big old house and they never see me. It just makes no sense. And I know you probably have friends like that are older, right? I think we've had to talk about this, like you can have all the riches in the world, but if you don't have someone or your kids around or people that love you, you yearn for that. And money can't buy that. You can buy that nice house where you're thinking about it, but it's not going to bring you that, So, and I'm not trying to veer off too much. It just all goes together. But it ultimately, I know a lot of stuff just happened, but ultimately it does start at home, and I feel it's so important. And I know Christian has no kids yet, but it does start at home, and it's it's tough being a dad, you know, and it's tough even being a parent with the mom and dad together, you know, but that's how it's going to curve all this shit. This is how things can change. If we start at the house and we start, you know, we play with our kids and we teach them right from wrong, we discipline them correctly, and, you know, put them on timeout or whatever, you know, and just the base to this, the base to having a good family, in my opinion, eat at the dinner table, you know, go to church on Sundays. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I feel it creates really good structure. And a lot of people don't understand kids, they crave structure. They don't even know it. Like, I feel it's so important to let your kids do dangerous stuff that's supervised, if that makes sense. Like, it's okay. And this is something I'm learning. I was always so anal about, like, oh, no. I'm starting to let my kids be a little bit more wild. Let them be kids. Let them get bumps and bruises and scratches and get banged up a little bit. You know, not purposely let them get hurt, but let them wild out. They're supposed to at this age. You know what I mean? So I'm going to let you share your thoughts and stuff. I know I kind of went on a little tangent, but yeah.
Yeah,
You can start from anywhere because I know I said like a lot of different things. So, because I did start, just to help you out, I did start like when it came about the Olympics and the way, you know, things are pushed on us, and it kind of led to like, you know, where it starts at home and stuff.
Well, I think there's a lot of stuff that's, you know, agendas and such that are pushed on society.
Right.
And again, you know, as I vocalized in previous episodes, you know, I guess that, you know, I haven't done like the analysis of my, you know, political views and philosophy or what have you, but I would say I'm probably closest aligned with, you know, something kind of like libertarian, if you will.
Right.
Don't really care what people do, you know, as long as it doesn't infringe. And I say that, you know, because people forget that when they try and push an agenda and such, that the vast majority of people, okay, they don't fit that narrative, right? Like what they showed on the Olympics. Most people on the planet don't subscribe to that. Okay?
Right.
And, you know, if people want to do that, they want to do the drag stuff, hey, more power to you. Go for it. But I would wager that most people probably don't want to see that.
No.
And, you know, especially, you know, got kids and other people. It's just weird.
Weird.
This is stuff you saw in ancient Greece and Rome. And I actually read across something that was very striking to me. This is just one little tidbit of how different times were and such. I was reading Marcus Aurelius. I read it every morning, actually, his meditations.
Right.
There's a part of the book that is dedicated to giving context as to what things meant and meant. And came across this thing that was called calamite or something of that nature, if I'm recalling correctly. And I've never heard of it before. I was like, Googling it. And it's basically a relationship adult man has with a, if I'm saying it right, pubescent, probably saying it wrong, but basically with like a maybe 12 or 12-year-old or a 10-year-old or whatever, like a full-on relationship, and that was accepted and normal in that time or whatever. And but there were also a lot of other things going on too that, you know, if I recall my history correctly, you know, like I think it was the Greeks were more free or what have you.
Right.
The Romans were a little, you know, they kind of did a little bit of that, but not quite the same. But it was kind of interesting how, as you know, like I'm going off on a tangent here. I'm spitballing here, but basically, like different times in the past, you saw these things that didn't align with like the traditional values, if you will, the traditionalness. And so,
Right.
I guess coming full circle to you know, what's being put out there. I think a lot of people, yeah, I mean, we're vocalizing it. You know, I mean, a lot of people don't, or they're afraid to. They have a corporate job, or they have this or that. They can't sit, you know, they can't speak their mind, and I get it. But yeah, I you know, and then you know, in the entertainment industry, you know, you know, they have so much power. The people
Right.
that produce films, the people that produce media, they have so much power. I mean, think about how it shapes who we are as a kid growing up.
Right.
And I mean, there's a lot of great content that's been produced, you know, and the messages that you can get in great movies. I feel like we've kind of passed the era of great movies, and
Right.
you know, the messages there that expose the human condition and human nature. But today, I mean, the people that produce this stuff, they show it to the whole world. And I guess I'm kind of skirting around it, but I'm saying a lot of the stuff that we see on TV, we're like, I can't believe they're showing that.
Right.
I can't believe they're doing that. It's obviously all predicated on the money and producing it, and there's a loss of or there's a lack of I'm falling blank on my words here, but like just that
Like
traditional
authenticity?
faith. I don't want to even. It doesn't even have to be faith based, but just something, just the decadence, if you will. And
Right.
I think it needs to be cleaned up. And I'm not gonna again, make it seem like I'm holier than shit, but
I mean, his
know
name is Christian. So,
that is true. It
That's-
is. It is Christian.
so you're pretty holy, bro.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just very interesting. But again, as I've mentioned, all the stuff we see in society, and I'll share another story too. This relates to an Instagram story, but I imagine that there will be some type of disruption, and it'll be economic and all this. The materialism that we have in society today. And again, I'm not completely knocking it. I like nice things.
Right.
Materialism, the lack of a grounding, whether it's religion or the universe that you subscribe to, but just having like a code of ethics and stuff. The lack of that, also the prevalence of sex and violence and drugs on TV, which people did not see quite on the same level as in the 1940s or 50s. I remember my step grandfather telling me guys would wait, or I'm trying to think. I don't know if they were at the train station or something, but just seeing a woman's like
calf.
yeah, calf, or just like some little tidbit was like exposing themselves or
Man, you're like, man, look at that kneecap.
yeah, there you go. And today I know, because people like fully covered up back back
Yeah.
they're more dressed up,
Definitely
up.
a little different nowadays.
And now people are like full on naked and stuff. And so what I'm getting at is there's the affluence, times are good. Even if you're low income in this country, you still live better than most of the planet.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, all the subsidies, all the access to resources and stuff. And so as a product of that, I was just listening to a podcast. People have fewer kids when there's affluence, when times are good. People and people want to stay single. They had the same thing going on, not to talk about Roman Empire, and it sounds cliche, but I was actually listening to a podcast that was released over a decade ago. If you haven't checked it out, it's called The History of Rome. It's a phenomenal podcast. And they talked about how Rome was a republic at one point, and then it transitioned into being an empire. And before all that, it was run by it was like a kingdom, basically, like a king of Rome and such. But in the early days of the empire, they tried to pass legislation to get people to get married, to incentivize people having families. They tried to pass legislation to get people who are adulterers, people who are doing nefarious things. And it kind of reminds you, of today, where people aren't trying to legislate society.
Right.
But a lot of the same stuff going on. People were in the Republican days. I don't mean the political party. I'm referring to ancient Rome. People tended to be more conservative, financially frugal. Then as time goes on, people got more laxed, more liberal in the sense of, wealth. Just and look, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking making money, because I'm all about making as much money as you can. But the value shift is what I'm getting at. And I think there'll be a disruption today. And I think like a pendulum with society, things are kind of weird. It'll go back to being normal. And then you wait another 80, 100-year cycle. It'll
always resets
back.
itself.
Yeah.
It's crazy, huh? Just like goes good, and then it starts kind of going in a bad direction over time, and then plummets. That goes back up, and it's weird. It's almost, it has to. It has to reset itself. You know what I mean? That's why people always think, oh, the world's gonna end now. Remember in 1999 and 2000 when what was it called, the Y2K?
Yep.
Man, my parents had big old 2 blue barrels of water and like food, beans stored. Because they thought it was gonna mess up the computers. Like, there's always like a reset, man. There's always gonna be something, and that, go back, kind of like tying with everything. It's kind of like things have changed, but I don't think things are changing for the better, and my view and my belief is obviously it starts at home, creating a good foundation for the future, right? I mean, we've heard that. Kids are the future. They are. My sons could be a boss one day, or they will be a boss one day. They'll be successful, or they're going to be part of the problem. They're going to hurt people. They can kill people. Like, what do you want your kids to be? You know what I mean? Like, you want them to be the best they can be, whatever it is. I was literally talking to my grandparents today. I was like, I don't care what my kids do. You want to be a garbage man? You better pick up that trash the best you can. You know what I mean? Or if you want to be a doctor, because I don't believe you have to go to school for everything. If you're going to be a doctor, you have to, it just depends. Even landscaping, you can get a degree, be an architect, So at the end of the day, you can improve things. You can polish things up, but you don't have to go. And I just feel like it's just a plus. I feel like nowadays you don't have to, but I'm not against it at all. That's a whole nother thing because I feel like it's just like a money trap in my opinion, unless you're going for a specific, career like a doctor or a lawyer and stuff like that. It's a little different, but yeah, I've said it several times already. I just feel so strongly about it though. That's why I try my best to make sure, I expose my kids to reality of things. I don't baby talk to my kids. I never have. The way I talk to you is the way I talk to my sons. And I'm not perfect. I can't have a potty mouth, but I'm not going to pretend and be something I'm not in front of my sons. Now I can improve that as a father and as a person. And I'm not going to deny that. But I'm going to be who I am. I'm pretty authentic. And I think you know that. Like, I don't change my stripes for anybody. And I am who I am. I'm not playing pretend. My sons, they got to go to bed at a certain time. I like them to eat a certain way. But at the same time, we do still have junk, and I still let them stay up sometimes late. Like, you gotta let your kids still be kids. But I hate when people use that and they like to feed their kids junk. Well, they're kids. They can eat popsicles and sugary foods all day. Oh, okay. So, if you buy a Lamborghini, you're gonna put sand in it. Or you're going to put the best gas you can. You're going to have great maintenance to it. Like, why would you treat your car better than your kids? And people don't really aren't mindful of that. And like the big pharma is very, very understanding that people don't pay attention to the back of labels. The food industry, they know people don't look. It's all right. There's no sugar in it. Just because it says 0 sugar doesn't mean there's no sugar in it. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go in that direction. What I'm saying is, it starts at home. The quality of life you give your children, that's what they're going to end up thinking is okay. You beat the crap out of someone in front of your kids, they're going to think that's okay to do later down the line. If you show good work ethic and you show structure and morals, they're going to have a better understanding of that. So later down the line, you'll be able to be like, you know what? Because my dad always says this, and this is so true. When I die, son, I want to make sure you're going to be okay. I mean, it sounds a little morbid, but like, I get it now. He wants to make sure. Now he even says, he's like, I can die tomorrow and I know you're going to be just fine. You know what I mean? That's a good thing to hear, especially from your dad, and he's a hardworking man. So it's like, he's a good dad, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like, it starts at home. And I was blessed to have wonderful, wonderful people around me. Only had a few people, mom, dad, and brother. That's it. And that's all you need. I'd rather have a company of great people than a company of, 100 people that, will stab me in the back. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to, kind of like, to tie things in at the end. I know Christian will, say his piece about it, but I think if you do have kids, definitely, whatever you feel like you need to fix, work on that. Baby steps. Try not to cuss as much. Or maybe instead of eating out 3 times a week, make it just twice a week. Little things, do little workouts. My kids work out every day when they're with me. I make them do push-ups, sit-ups, calf raises, and squats, It takes 8 minutes. That 8 minutes can improve the rest of your life. You don't even know it. It's small. We talked about the water situation, right? Didn't you bring up some water and how like over time it'll deteriorate the rocks, right? Like over time, it just takes time. It takes a long time, but it takes time, but it'll get there. Same thing with kids, man. It just takes time, and they're the future. And I believe at home, get it going, get that good foundation. And if you don't have kids like Christian yet, learn from people like me, learn from my mistakes and learn that I'll take in what you need and dispose of the rest. But, I feel like today was an important topic. I feel like, I want to see society get better, obviously. I want my kids' future to be bright. It looks pretty scary, to be honest, the way the world's going. And people have asked me, oh, you don't want no more kids? Yes and no. I would, maybe one more, but I'm scared the way society is. But if I can continue to be a good dad and bring in good kids into this world, they're the light in the dark, right? But how do I know other people aren't going to do that? And my sons or daughter can be the victim of, someone's, lack of being a good parent, so yeah. So what's your view and your tie up to all this?
Yeah, despite what we've espoused and talked about and such, we do live in the best time in history, period.
Agreed.
Granted, things are kind of weird socially. People are divisive politically. There's an uptick in conflicts overseas. You have a lot of debt, and there's no way in the world it's going to get paid off.
Right.
This is going to trickle down and impact all of us.
Unless Christian does the OnlyFans.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. And so, what I'm getting at is, on a good note, we do live in really good times overall. You don't live in the 15th century where you have basically your neighbor's armies going across your backyard, and there's raping and pillaging, and you're dying of disease. You got plagues and all sorts of stuff. I mean, overall, we have a pretty good life. And I'd rather, even if things are kind of funky right now, I'd still rather live in this time than live in a period where people literally die, drop dead, just all sorts of little things.
I agree, to a certain extent. I think views change a little bit when you have kids because you're not worried about you anymore. Excuse me. You're worried about, to be a good parent is to be, selfless and not be selfish. Excuse me. And I think that your love and, for the children that you have, it just overrides your ability to give a damn about anything else except their well-being in the future. So when you have kids one day, rethink what you just said. Not saying it's wrong. We do technically live in good times. We have people that can come protect us. We call the cops or something, sometimes, you know what I mean? But my point is, it's not back with swords and, these people can rape people when they want to. It was bad. It was dirty. It was horrible. But I only know my heart and what's nowadays, right? But we can and do live in a society that's great. I have a roof over my head, man. I have running water. I'm blessed. I agree with that. But then when you have kids and you think about how ugly society's becoming, you get pretty nervous, because you just don't want anything bad to happen to your kids. So back to the point of make sure you raise them right. Make sure you raise your kids right. So then when our kids grow up together, then they can create a good foundation and have friends. And then you are who you hang around. Right. So if you're hanging around good people, usually, you're going to develop good habits. Hang around bad people like I did, I started doing bad things, even though I came from a good background. I said it before, it's a bad feeling when you just do something wrong. But it's even worse when you know it's wrong, but you do it anyway. Right? So knowing right from wrong is important, obviously, with the kids. And like I said, whenever you have kids one day, think about what you said, in the sense of we live in the best times, we do, but, again, that's just me. I'm not saying I don't want to make it sound like Christian's wrong or anything. I'm so sorry. My throat's dry. But I guess I'm a worrywart too, a little bit. And I think being a single dad too, I just want to make sure my sons are good and safe. And, it's just, I can't protect my sons. I know that. If I doubt that I would die 1,000 times for my kids. You know what I mean? They're my best friends or everything to me. So I do worry. And as a parent, you should. My dad still tells me, well, I'm just worried about you, son. I'm like, chill out, dude. I tell him that, I'm thinking, damn, he's kind of right. No matter how old they get, no matter how old you get, and no matter if you have the great relationship with your mom or bad, your mom still loves you, bro, and she'll do anything for you, right? No matter how old you get. So that's how I feel with my sons. I worry, even though, they're good kids and they have a good heart. There's a lot of kids that don't have a good, well-being and growing, good, any type of stability. So I'm not worried about my kids, who they are. I'm just worried about the people they're going to be around in this society. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up there and pick it up next week.
Yeah. So if you guys, again, I say this kind of after every closing of our podcast, I get multiple messages about how you guys are enjoying, and it's relatable. We're not editing much from this podcast. We're gonna have to rewatch it because I think
about some parts there.
Dude, it was so funny, but everybody loves the authenticity of it and how they can relate. And I really appreciate your feedback. I really do. And hopefully you guys continue to like and subscribe and follow the Instagram, Bronson and Christian Talk. Go follow Christian's podcast. Sorry guys, my throat, it's killing me right now. You want to probably put a plug in for your podcast?
Yeah, it's the podcast is called Discourse with Christian, and it's different from what we have going on. And by the way, to preface, what I love about what Bronson and I have going on is guy talk. It's us kind of shooting the shit, more relaxed setting. The other one I have, Discourse with Christian, is more, I guess you could say, buttoned up, if you will, more of me interviewing specific individuals. But I just love this time that we're in. I know we kind of talked about all the challenges going on, but the fact that we're able to do and put out there what we are, and
right.
We appreciate the people that are tuning in, and I hope people find value in it. And when I get feedback from people like, hey, you know what, like I feel like I got something from this, or I'm enjoying it, like that means so much, because there is a lot of behind the scenes work. It's whether it's editing or commuting, getting stuff. And so, not that we need any cheerleaders, but it's always encouraging to get feedback. And
I wouldn't mind one.
So